Coming up on the Q30 Newscast, the men's lacrosse team is suspended. We have the latest.
And we spoke to a Quinnipiac law professor to discuss her recent campaign for the Connecticut House of Representatives.
And after heavy rainfall yesterday, the Mount Carmel campus was underwater, but that didn't stop students from gathering on Bobcat Way.
All that and more on this week's Q30 Newscast.
Live from the Student Center Piazza, this is the Q30 Newscast.
A lot of weather, a lot of entertainment, and a whole lot of news. Welcome to this week's newscast. I'm Katie O'Keefe.
And I'm Cullen Ronan.
The Quinnipiac men's lacrosse team has been suspended due to alleged violations of the student conduct policy. It was announced Sunday by Vice President of Public Affairs Lynn Bushnell, who said, quote, "The university has suspended the men's lacrosse team pending the outcome of an investigation into the alleged violations of the student conduct policy. This suspension, which takes effect immediately, prohibits all team activity, including practicing and representing the university in competitions, and just before," end quote. And just before the announcement was made, the program held its prospect day, hoping to draw in potential recruits. The exact cause of suspension is unknown, but a violation in the student conduct policy includes any notion towards underage drinking, theft, abuse, harassment, among other things. Last year, the team finished first in their conference, but this upcoming season, it's unpredictable. Police are not involved at this point, and the story is ongoing. We will give updates as we get them. Now we go to Kaylee Heffler with one of Quinnipiac's legal studies professor who is running for a seat in the state of Connecticut's House of Representatives this midterm election.
I'm sitting down with Professor Gadkar Wilcox, who teaches American constitutional law and international law here at Quinnipiac University. Professor Gadkar Wilcox is running in Connecticut's upcoming election for a seat in the House of Representatives. What initially pushed you to run for a seat in the House of Representatives?
Well, I think it was the study, and I've spoken about this several times before, but for Chapman University conducts a survey of the greatest American fear. For the last 2 years, the greatest American fear has been the corruption of public officials. You know, and as a scholar of the Constitution and teaching American constitutional law almost every year at Quinnipiac, you know, I know that there's a political ethic that the framers actually envisioned in our Constitution, in our political process, our political system, that our laws were in place to protect the public good.
What changes would you want to make if you did get a seat in the House of Representatives?
I think that's the first thing is, you know, I mean, the way we're running the campaign is really a grassroots political movement where the point for me is to have conversations. I'm a very ineffective door knocker, but I think for me it's because I care about the conversation. I want to take time to really connect with members of my community.
Would you still be teaching here at Quinnipiac?
Yes, and the nice thing is to have support from the university, and so we have a part-time citizen legislature, and I've spoken to the dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, who's very supportive in making sure we can sort of adjust my schedule to be able to teach.
How does it feel to have all that support from other professors and faculty members and even students hearing about what you're doing?
It's wonderful. I have always loved being at Quinnipiac, and actually the thing that I noticed most when I first came in was that it felt like a community.
Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I'm going to toss it back to the desk now.
Quinnipiac's Mount Carmel campus suffered significant flooding due to yesterday's heavy rain. The flooding was so severe, areas of North Lot were inaccessible. Students and faculty were also notified that the footbridge beyond the recreation center was closed due to the downpour. Despite the weather, students made their way outside to enjoy water levels on Bobcat Way that were nearly knee-high. Former Quinnipiac adjunct Professor Cho Cocker arrested on charges of harassment last Friday. The 41-year-old violated a protective order placed on him by a former student after she says Cocker became obsessed with her after taking his class. Cocker reportedly sent the victim 84 emails between August and September of 2018, even after she had requested a protective order. This is not the first time he has sent an excessive number of emails to former students. He was arrested by Southington police and faced a judge on Monday. Cocker elected not to enter a plea deal and must appear in court again on October 19th. Judy Olian is now in her third month serving as president. One of her most recent initiatives is developing a new strategic plan for the university. The plan is currently in the process of being developed. To assist with the creation of the new plan, various committees have been set up. The committees are focused around 5 goals: attract talented, diverse students, enhance and deliver distinctive learning experiences, transform the student experience to enhance student success and satisfaction, invest in faculty and staff excellence, inclusivity, and support the lifelong success of graduates.
Yesterday was National Voter Registration Day. To celebrate, Quinnipiac students were given the opportunity to register here in Connecticut. Sarah Russell has more.
September 25th was National Voter Registration Day, and multiple events were held on campus to get students out to register to vote.
Voting is a lot more important than people realize, and so this kind of shows people like, hey, your vote means something.
Student Programming Board had a voter registration party to encourage university members to register to vote in the upcoming midterm elections.
Today we're having this voter registration celebration, which is encouraging students to register to vote. So yeah, and so we have free ice cream, and if you have registered to vote already through Quinnipiac, you get a $5 gift card.
The day's events were a way to get students involved in the upcoming elections and to take part in their civic duty of voting. The midterm elections will take place on November 6th, where all 435 seats in the House of Representatives and 35 of the 100 seats in the Senate will be voted on. The university will provide transportation for those on campus who want to take part in the election. Students in college now will be the youngest generation to take part in this election, and some discussed why they felt it was so important to register to vote.
I think it's really important to vote because we are the generation that has a say about our future, and if you don't vote, then you don't get that say, and I think it's really important to do so.
People want change, they have to actually act upon it, and voting is one of those ways.
Some students weren't aware that they were able to vote from Connecticut if their home address isn't in the state.
It's easier than trying to figure out the whole absentee ballot for out-of-state people.
Yeah. All students have to do is fill out this voter registration application, and they'll be registered to vote in the state of Connecticut. Sarah Russell, Q30 News.
Students across campus and people across Connecticut are receiving spam text messages from an unknown source. Take a look at what they look like. The text contains a message prompting the reader to open the copied link. While they thought this may scam, according to a statement, Guilford Police issued a New Haven register. It is just an advertisement for the In Real Life app. Text experts have reportedly said you can respond to the opt-out to remove your information from the app's database or just delete the text. Travis Roy, a man who was paralyzed 11 seconds into his college hockey career, has now found a new purpose in life: motivational speaking, about his growth and journey of being disabled. Roy lost feeling in his body from the neck down in a freak accident on the ice as a freshman at Boston University. Last night, Roy came to Quinnipiac in an event to raise awareness and donations hosted by Pi Kappa Phi. The event benefited the fraternity's philanthropy, the Ability Experience Foundation, and for Roy's cause, the Travis Roy Foundation.
Q-Thon's Child Health Week kicks off tonight in the Carl Hansen Student Center with their Ignite Your Flame event. There are also events tomorrow, September 27th, and Monday, October 1st. As the first Q-Thon affiliated event of the year, you can lock in your chance to register to participate in this year's dance marathon. Q-Thon 2019 will be held on March 23rd in the Quinnipiac Athletic Center. A Quinnipiac student sustained injuries last Tuesday night after being struck in a hit and run. The identified 19-year-old female student was walking along the southbound shoulder of Whitney Avenue with a group of friends around midnight before she was struck by the vehicle's right side mirror. Witnesses described the car as a red-colored vehicle thought to be a Hyundai Elantra. The victim suffered non-life-threatening injuries, and according to police, the driver has still not yet been identified.
Calling all environmental activists. There's a new club on campus for you. The Students for Environmental Action have just formed this year and are already taking steps to decrease Quinnipiac's carbon footprint. For their first initiative, they have teamed up with the Albert Schweitzer Institute and have plans to hand out reusable straws. But that's not their only plan for this semester. While beach cleanups and other environmentally safe are on the agenda, they have plans to tackle a big project.
We really want to look into the recycling program here because single-stream recycling, there's a lot of doubt behind that, and I know that a lot of trash ends up in there, and people talk about how it doesn't actually end up getting recycled, and I think that that's just a very easy thing for us if we talk to the right people to get going in the right direction.
The town of Hamden is hoping to be finished with tornado cleanup by next Friday, October 5th. The storm, which happened in May, left quite a mess for Hamden and Quinnipiac residents. Hamden Mayor Kurt Lang issued a message on Monday calling for final cleanup. Residents in the Mount Carmel and Westwoods neighborhoods can put their debris curbside, and a collection service will take it away. Hamden residents living in these areas can also bring their debris to the Hamden Public Works lot. Disposal is free, and anyone found disposing debris after October 5th in unauthorized areas will be fined.
Now, Katie, there has been lots of bad weather here in Hamden, but luckily for us, we're getting a weather update for the week.
Standing by, Kyle, tell me we're getting a break from this rain.
Rainstorms, and I wish I could say we were done with rain for the weekend, but it doesn't look like that's the case. All of that and more later after this commercial break.
Yes.
Hello, and tonight on Sandwich News, we will determine what makes a good sandwich and a bad sandwich. First, the standard sandwich. Uninspired, and frankly, a little gross. But we have here a Ray and Mike sandwich, the Cadillac of sandwiches. And if you want one, well,
come on down to Ray and Mike's at 3030 Whitney Ave, Hamden, Connecticut. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Qcash is accepted.
now that's a sandwich.
Do you like debate? That's a converted relief pitcher making the start because it was a doubleheader. You got no hit by a relief pitcher. You can't tell me that's not embarrassing. Analysis.
You can see his stance, his positioning right there is excellent.
And a side of entertainment.
Is he right or is he crazy?
Well, we all know the answer to that. He's a bit crazy, but I gotta say, you know.
Then join us on Bobcat Breakdown.
From the court to the ice to here on the diamond, we'll discuss everything you need to know about Quinnipiac athletics.
Bobcat Breakdown, Tuesdays at 9:30.
From Hamden to Hollywood, we are your source for entertainment news.
Whether you're on the quad in your room or off campus, tune in to Q30 News for stories from student journalists you can trust.
We're covering the latest here on campus and in the surrounding communities.
Get the news you need to know every Wednesday night.
Since 1988, the Quinnipiac poll has been conducting both statewide and national political surveys that have been cited on major news sources like CNN, Fox News, and NBC, among others. Olivia Schuler went behind the scenes to learn more about one of the landmarks of Quinnipiac.
The Quinnipiac Polling Institute is a nationally recognized public opinion polling center. Polls conducted by Quinnipiac are used across the country. The institute was founded in 1988 and covers more than a dozen states.
Former President John Leahy, it was part of his vision of turning a small college into a major national university.
Polls are conducted by student employees to get the information the Quinnipiac poll uses.
Basically everyone does the same thing. We call people that's generated by like a random number system, and we have to ask them if they would like to participate in the poll, and if they say yes, then we go through the whole 15-minute long poll.
Paper and pencil surveys changed a few years after 1988. Now polls are conducted using cell phones.
You have to call cell phones. The people who have only a cell phone are actually young people. The overwhelming majority of them do not have a landline. So it's really important to call cell phones.
Since the 2016 election, skepticism of polls has increased, but accuracy has not changed.
The polls really were just as accurate in 2016 as they've always been. The polls accurately predicted that President Trump would lose the popular vote. They came very close to the 2-point margin.
Heading to the 2018 midterm elections, Quinnipiac polls are being used around the country by major news sources. Here at the Polling Institute, Olivia Schuler, Q30 News.
Quinnipiac University is gearing up to host its annual Relay for Life cancer fundraising event. Set to take place this Saturday, September 29th, both students and the local community can participate in the signature team fundraising cancer walk for the American Cancer Society. During the event, participants must walk the track all night. Since cancer never sleeps, neither does Relay for Life. The fundraising goal for this year is $40,000, with the Quinnipiac community raising $17,000 up until this point. The event is set to take place at 11 a.m. this Saturday on the Tater and Eklund lawns at Quinnipiac's Mount Carmel campus. The Albert Schweitzer Institute Festival is set to take place in Hartford this coming weekend. The concert is free and open to the public and features some of the world's finest organists. A number of artifacts from the Albert Schweitzer Institute at Quinnipiac will be on display. The concert opens Friday, September 28th from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. at the Asylum Hill Congregational Church in Hartford.
Quinnipiac Dining is hosting their Legacy City Lights event. An email sent this morning with an attached flyer allows students to reserve their tickets to the experience, which includes a buffet, carving station, and giveaways. The event runs from 4:30 to 6:30 this Friday outside the main cafeteria.
In a series of press releases released by the university, Quinnipiac has appointed 4 new staff members to various departments across the university. Wesley Wenfro of New Haven has been appointed Associate Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. Therese A. Sprinkle of Milford has been named Chair of the Healthcare Management and Organizational Leadership Department in the School of Business. Fred McKinney of Trumbull has been selected as the Carlton Highsmith Chair of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and Alex Sina of New Haven has been named an Assistant Professor in the School of Law. The Quinnipiac University Student Health Services will be hosting flu clinics throughout the next 3 months across its 3 campuses. The flu shots are free to students, staff members, and faculty while vaccine supplies last. Shots will be available on the North Haven campus from September 25th to the 27th, on the York Hill campus from October 9th and 10th, and on the Mount Carmel campus from October 16th to the 18th. All students must bring their cue cards. There has been a lot happening in the Hamden and New Haven area recently, Katie.
From Yale protests to flash flooding, Carrie, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Cullen and Katie. On Sunday, the body of an unidentified male was found in the Quinnipiac River. The body was spotted by someone on a commercial tugboat passing through. Authorities say that the man appears to be in his 30s. Now, there have been some reports from a witness who saw someone jump from the Grand Avenue Bridge into the water on Saturday night. Authorities are looking into whether or not this is the same person. We will keep you up to date on that story as it continues to develop. Now, most students across the country attended their college classes on Monday, but not at Yale. Law students protested on Monday in both Connecticut and Washington in opposition to the nomination of Yale alumna Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. More than 100 students traveled to Washington to protest and meet with senators. Those who did not make the trip to D.C. staged a sit-in at the law school. Reporters say more than 30 professors canceled classes on Monday and Friday. Faculty members signed a letter urging the Senate judiciary to treat sexual assault violations properly. The sit-in was in response to new allegations reported by Deborah Ramirez, who claimed that Kavanaugh exposed himself to her at a college party while they were students. These new allegations come not long after Christine Blasey Ford claimed Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her at a party. Kavanaugh and Ford will be testifying tomorrow before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Heavy rains yesterday are leaving flood water all over the state of Connecticut. Roads are closed and cars were rescued from the rising waters on highways. In North Haven, part of Kings Highway collapsed on Mount Carmel Avenue, and here in Hamden, many experienced flash flooding on Whitney Avenue and on Quinnipiac's Mount Carmel campus. That's all I have for this week's local news report. Cullen and Katie, back to you.
When we come back, Kaya Lavasser has us covered on what Hamden can expect from this week's weather forecast.
And from the last couple of days of wild weather, you're not going to want to miss this.
Welcome to the WQAQ Morning Show. Dan Ball and Emma Spagnolo joining you here from the QAQ studios in Hamden. And Emma, it is that time of year again.
Sandwich News, we will determine what makes a good sandwich and a bad sandwich. First, the standard sandwich. Uninspired and frankly, a little gross. But we have here a Ray and Mike sandwich, the Cadillac of sandwiches. And if you want one, well,
come on down to Ray and Mike's at 3030 Whitney Ave, Hamden, Connecticut. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Qcash is accepted.
Now that's a sandwich.
Now, back in time for the full weather report. Looking for brighter days, right, Cullen?
That's right, Katie. And Kyle, you're standing by with the weather. What do you have for us?
Cullen, Katie, there should be some brighter days ahead this weekend. We'll get to my full 7-day forecast later on, but here, just the weather the next couple days. Partly cloudy today and tomorrow. High of 77 today, high of 70 degrees tomorrow. Those are pretty high temperatures for this time of year. Generally, it's only about mid-50s towards the end of September, so this is actually pretty warm temperatures. You could still walk around quad with a t-shirt on, no need for a jacket yet. On Friday, we are going to get some AM showers, so if you do have an 8 a.m. class, I would advise bringing an umbrella or a rain jacket, and then you can take it off. It should be partly cloudy later on in the day. Let's move on to the temperatures around the state of Connecticut, and we'll see that in New Haven, 72 degrees. Hartford as well, 72 degrees. Torrington is the low in Connecticut at 69 degrees. I guess we don't have the graphic, but pretty warm temperatures all throughout the Nutmeg State. Pretty warm temperatures for this time of year. Fall is just staying, but we'll move on to the 7-day forecast and we'll see, there we go, that this weekend, best days of the week are Saturday and Sunday. So if you do want to enjoy the weather, you can go out during the weekend. High of 71 on Saturday. It cools down a little bit on Sunday with a high of 66 degrees. Monday, 67 degrees with a low of 57 degrees, and then partly cloudy for the rest of the week. It looks like we'll have a nice weekend, although watch out for those AM showers if you do have a class on Friday morning. Carrie and Colin, back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Kyle. From celebrities to famous Star Wars producer Gary Kurtz, we've got updates on it all.
Q30's Kay Pattyfoot has the latest in the entertainment spotlight.
Bill Cosby, once known as American Dad, has been sentenced to 3 to 10 years in state prison for drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constant back in 2004. Cosby's bail was revoked by Judge Stephen O'Neill, who said, quote, "This was a serious crime. Mr. Cosby, this has all circled back to you. The day has come, the time has come," end quote. Cosby, who was convicted in April, declined to speak to the court's prior sentencing, and his attorneys have already filed an appeal. Some sad news for Star Wars fans. This past Sunday, one of the original Star Wars producers, Gary Kurtz, died after a year-long battle with cancer. He was 78 years old. Kurtz produced 3 of the most successful movies of all time, starting with American Graffiti in 1978, which kick-started his collaboration with the legendary American filmmaker George Lucas. Together, Lucas and Kurtz would produce the first 2 movies of the Star Wars series, Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. In a statement, his family said, quote, "He was a magnificent man whose life work was to share the wonder of audiovisual storytelling through the art of film," end quote. Yesterday, the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, blew up social media when she attended her first solo outing as a royal. Her car door was open for her, but she closed it herself. Quote, "A princess who still takes the time to shut her car door. Well done," end quote. Tweeted by The Sun's royal correspondent, Emily Andrews. She arrived at the Royal Academy of Arts in London for the opening of the new Oceana art exhibit. Mrs. Markle wore a black Givenchy dress and paired it with Aquazura heels and a Givenchy clutch. Back to you guys at the desk.
When we come back, Tom Koznowski has us covered on all things Quinnipiac sports.
Stay with us.
If you like debate, that's a converted relief pitcher making the start because it was a doubleheader. You got no hit by a relief pitcher. You can't tell me that's not embarrassing.
Analysis. You can see his stance, his positioning right there is excellent.
And a side of entertainment.
Is he right or is he crazy?
Well, we all know the answer to that. He's a bit crazy, but I gotta say, you know.
Then join us on Bobcat Breakdown.
From the court to the ice to here on the diamond, we'll discuss everything you need to know about Quinnipiac athletics.
Bobcat Breakdown, Tuesdays at 9:30.
Welcome to the WQAQ Morning Show. Dan Ball and Emma Spagnolo joining you here from the QAQ studios in Hamden. And Emma, it is that time of year again.
Whether you're on the quad in your room or off campus, tune in to Q30 News for stories from student journalists you can trust.
We're covering the latest here on campus and in the surrounding communities.
Get the news you need to know every Wednesday night.
Cullen, a handful of Quinnipiac sports teams had home field advantage this weekend.
That's right, Katie, and we are joined by sports reporter Tom Koznowski, who has updates from this week's best games.
Cullen, Katie, thank you. Now it's time for some sports. The Bobcats' fall sports teams are entering conference play, and winter seasons are right around the corner. Let's break it down. First, let's start off with men's soccer. Friday evening at the Quinnipiac soccer field, it's Quinnipiac hosting Central Connecticut State. Senior midi Matt Taylor got the Bobcats on the board early with this rocket, 1-0 Quinnipiac. The Blue Devils tied things up before half, but Taylor would strike again late. Though Quinnipiac couldn't convert at first, it's Taylor here on the penalty kick to save the day, slicing the shot to give Quinnipiac the lead they would not relinquish. 2-1 Bobcats is your final. The Lady Bobcats weren't to be outdone, though, as they took on Fairfield. Here, Selena Salas gets her team going with her second goal of the season. The freshman has made a big impact so far, ranking third on the team in points. Quinnipiac takes this one 3-0. The men's and women's teams were also in action this afternoon as the men's team beat Canisius 4-1, while the women's team defeated Iona 2-1. Shifting gears now, the Quinnipiac field hockey team had a busy weekend, picking up a big conference win over Georgetown, but dropping an out-of-conference tussle with UMass Lowell. They look to upset number 20 Liberty this Friday on the road. Finally, summer is officially over on the calendar, which means that it's hockey time in Hamden again. The women's hockey team hosted Canadian powerhouse Guelph in an exhibition game on Saturday, and the Bobcats sent them home packing. Melissa Samoskevich tallied 2 goals and 3 points, including this ripper to give Quinnipiac a 4-1 exhibition win. All in all, it was a successful week for Quinnipiac sports. They look to repeat on their success this weekend, although they'll have to do it away from home. The women's hockey team is the only team in Hamden this weekend. They'll host number 7 Ohio State University on Friday and Saturday night. Katie, Cullen, back to you.
Tom, great work as always. Thank you.
In other local news, the Hamden Police Department responded to not a call, but a challenge from the neighboring North Haven Police Department.
That's right, Cullen. Hamden officers Nick D'Angelo and Angela Vey responded to a lip-sync video challenge in an adorable and entertaining fashion, with their video tallying over 140,000 views on their Facebook page.
And those views were certainly deserved. It's always enjoyable to see police officers having a little fun. But that's going to do it for us on this week's edition of the Q30 Newscast. Make sure to follow us on social media at Q30 News to keep up to date on everything happening on and off campus.
For Cullen Ronan and everyone behind the scenes, I'm Katie O'Keefe. We'll see you next Wednesday.